Hi everyone, welcome to the fifth install video for the 2AR-FE into your Toyota MR2 Spyder. Today we're going to cover the interior work. That's going to cover the first part of the video. We're going to talk a little bit about the shift tower. We're going to talk about the junction box that goes inside the old ECU case, a little bit of electrical plugins, and the accelerator pedal. After that, at about this time here, we're going to be doing drive feel. Now this drive video is going to be just on regular streets. I will be posting a video shortly that will be covering drag strip. Alright, let's get to it. And we're inside. Ignore the fact that this is a race car. We're still going to cover everything you need to do for a street car. First thing you're going to need to do is you're going to have this cover on top of the center here. You're going to remove it. If you try to shift your transmission right now, you're going to notice that your center feel is a little soft. And the reason for that is because we have the extra rail to the left on the shifter, the reverse rail, we had to move the shifter's neutral position a little bit over to the right, just a couple millimeters. But what's going on right now, the reason it feels soft is this spring right here is what does the centering at the stick, and then you've got that cam that you installed in the transmission that's doing the centering in the transmission. They're not quite agreeing. So if you look right here, there's a kind of a rubber bushing. What you're going to want to do is remove the stock one right there, and it's flexible, so you don't need to disassemble this. Just grab in there with the screwdriver and pull it out. And in the shift kit, I include this bushing, and this bushing, you'll notice over on this side right here, is thicker. And that just moves the center spot of this spring, and you want to install it so the thicker part is towards the back. And now, the center feel of this spring will agree with the center feel on the transmission, and the whole thing just kind of has a nicely crisp center that you can feel. Now, if you'll remember when we installed the cam, the gate, the 1-2 gate, is a little bit on the light side. You'll just have to get used to it. It's because there's just only so much travel available. And the other thing you'll notice is this ball's actually got the proper 6-speed shift pattern on it. This is out of a 2010 Camry, but I believe the Scion TC1 is the same. Obviously, that's purely cosmetic. You can keep your old shifter if you want. Anyways, put the cover back on, and we're done with this. After the shifter, we're going to install the accelerator pedal. And the key to this is this adapter here that I sell. It comes with some bolts to bolt this pedal to. This is a drive-by-wire pedal. This one's out of a 2002 Camry, but specifically that part number right up there is the one you want. And this pedal, the really nice thing about this pedal is you'll notice down there it looks exactly like the Spyder pedals. Well, see this roll pin right here? If you punch this roll pin out and you do the same thing on your MR2 Spyder pedal, you can put the MR2 Spyder pedal face right on there. And it looks exactly like it should. The other thing to note is the pedal without a carpet will travel all the way and it doesn't bottom out. If there is a carpet, it's also going to be fine and it'll still give you 100% throttle pedal. As it is, the last about 3/8 of an inch or so is not actually changing the throttle pedal from 100%, but it's nice because it means that you don't need to put a spacer back there, whether you have carpet or not. For this next part, the race car is a little too different, so we're going to demonstrate it in a 1ZZ Spyder. This is behind the driver's seat. There's a couple panels here you're going to remove, and underneath this you can see the stock ECU. You're going to go in. There's going to be 4 plugs to disconnect. You're going to disconnect those. Actually, these ones you'll have already unplugged when you took the engine out. And then there's 3 bolts. You're going to remove the ECU. And now that you have the ECU in the car, we have to install the body controller in it. Now, this is actually a pre-production unit, so the production one will look ever so slightly different, but the procedure is going to be the same. So set this to the side, take the ECU, remove the cover, and then there's 2 more screws to remove. And the circuit board, you're not going to need this part. Take the body controller board, and we're going to set it in here. Now, note, because the circuit board is not full height, there's not enough stuff to register on to make sure that this goes at the right spot. So you're actually, to install it, you're going to have to start 2 of these screws up here. You don't have to tighten them at all, but that just makes sure that the hole stays at the right location, and then you're going to install these screws, tighten the middle ones, then remove these 2, put the case back on, screw it on. And now, this is no longer an engine controller, this is a body controller. And now you'll notice with the old circuit board, there was only 4 connectors, the middle one is not there. With the new one, there's a 5th connector in there, and that's for your drive-by-wire and your OBD2 harness. Let's go install it in the car. And now we come back to the car. We take this body controller that we've just made, and of course, yours will still have the brackets attached to it. You're going to bolt it back into here, and this is where some of the magic happens. These 2 plugs that go on the top here, those are chassis integration for the old ECU. You're going to plug those in. Those go still straight at the same stock location. That'll make it so that you don't have to actually modify any of the wiring harness on the car. You're not going to have this coming through. This is from the 1ZZ. Instead, you're going to have this. This is the harness that we made earlier. These 2 here, they fit right into the body controller, right at the 2 bottom locations. And these 3 here, the chassis integration, they go right in the corner here. Then one last thing is you'll take this harness that you can buy right off my website. This is the pre-production version. The production version will have wire loom on top of it. And this connector here, this is where that extra connector comes from. That plugs right in the middle. All that's left to do at this point is route this wire. So you'll have plugged this into the ECU, and this one here is your OBD2 port for your engine. You can just hide this behind the kick panel, or you can get fancier and mount it. There's screw mounts, but the one you need to hook up is this goes to your throttle pedal. So that's as simple as just pulling this cover off, and you see where that wiring harness runs. Just follow that. You're going to put it right next to it and go all the way up to the throttle pedal. There's about 1 foot of extra wire, so there's plenty of different ways you can route it. And at this point, it's time to fire it up and go for a drive. So let's get you some stationary exhaust sounds, and then we'll take you in the cabin and we'll go for some driving. And there it is. Enjoy your new MR2 Spyder drivetrain.